Hi there! As we know, people like you and me on the earth do benefit from the growing industry, whether it be advancements in mass media production, commercial opportunities, energy plants, or even as simple as a new mall that was just built. However, there is an extremely negative impact of the growing industry or industrialization on the environment, including pollution to air, water, and soil. Air pollution is one of the main factors as to what's causing global warming, and it is due to factories and the growing industry that's bringing about such pollution. Carbon dioxide is one of the important greenhouse gases that was mainly emitted from industry. Global carbon emissions from fossil fuels have significantly increased since 1900. From the figure, you can notice that since 1970, carbon dioxide emissions have increased by about 90%, with emissions from fossil fuel combustion and the industrial processes contributing about 78% of the total greenhouse gas emissions increase from 1970 to 2011. Agriculture, deforestation, and other land use changes have been the second largest contributors.
Although the United Nations have tried to reduce global carbon dioxide emissions for decades, industry is still the most important carbon source for CO2 emissions.
According to the statistic data collected from Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, in 2014, carbon dioxide from fossil and industrial process account for 65% of total emitted greenhouse gases. To control the carbon dioxide emissions, there are many ways to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from the industrial sector, including energy efficiency, fuel switching, combined heat and power, use of renewable energy, and the more efficient use and recycling of materials. Many industrial processes have no existing low-emission alternative and may require carbon capture and storage to reduce emissions over the long term.
Industrialization is not only harmful to the environment because it brings about tons of air pollution daily, but it also causes soil pollution.
The main sources of soil pollution from industrial processes are mining or quarrying activities. Mining activities have been occurring for thousands of years. Mining is a potential major source of heavy metals, not just from the mining operation itself, but mostly due to wastes and emissions during the processing of extracted materials such as tailings, waste rock deposits, and smelting operations. Here we have an example for you. Gold mining operations can cause emissions of mercury, arsenic, zinc, lead, nickel, and other toxic elements.
Mercury is primarily used for the extraction of gold, which is volatilized into the air or enters in the surrounding soils from mercury-bearing mineral wastes. According to the data from the United Nations, the late 1980s and early 1990s, artisanal gold mining in the Amazon basin is estimated to have caused the release of 4,000 tons of mercury.
The latest global inventory of mercury emissions estimates that mercury content of organic soils is about 150,000 tons due to anthropogenic activities, reaching 800,000 tons in mineral soils,
of which up to 15% are attributed to releases from small-scale gold mining, mainly in South America and East and Southeast Asia.
Large-scale gold mining is responsible for some 2,700 tons of mercury entering the soil each year.
Besides, the mining processes also produce wastewater, which contains toxic heavy metals that I mentioned above.
Improper disposal and accidental drainage of the mining wastewater enable these toxic elements to penetrate into the groundwater through surface seepage, changing the pH of the water body, affecting the self-purification ability of the water body, and causing serious pollution damage to the surrounding rivers and farmland. In addition, heavy metals are difficult to degrade, and the toxicity is very strong.
They can affect plant growth and human health through the food chain as well.
In all, The sources of pollution are mainly from industrial byproducts. Although industry is important for economic growth, it brings about substantial harm to nature and even to ourselves. The industrial pollution can be controlled, but actually not. Here are some reasons. Lack of controlling policies. Governments haven't implemented plain and effective policies that can restrict the emission of pollutants. As a result, many industries easily bypass laws. Use of wrong technologies. Many entrepreneurs try to save money and put to use outdated technologies. The others simply cannot afford expensive innovations. The use of outdated machines is one of the typical reasons why so many disasters take place. Too many small industries. There are large numbers of small-scale companies that don't have sufficient funds. Commonly, they are dependent on private investors and government aid. Consequently, they may use ineffective and dangerous technologies that increase amounts of pollutants. Insufficiency of waste disposal. Many industries don't give heed to the disposal of wastes. Accordingly, major amounts of pollutants aren't destroyed and induce health problems. Refusing natural resources. There are multiple alternatives to industrial technologies. Nonetheless, they don't bring the desired income and companies refuse them. It's important to ask the question, is a lower environmental impact possible without sacrificing some degree of economic prosperity in regards to the manufacturing industry? The concept of green industry, sustainable manufacturing, affirms that economic output can be increased, and at the same time, the resources used for manufacturing activities and its polluting effects can, to some extent, be reduced. China released its new Green Industries Guidance Catalog to help promote green development. This new catalog, essentially a mini industrial plan, will be an important step in energizing and growing the Chinese sustainable industry goods and services sectors. The Green Industries Guidance Catalog raises awareness that China's green industry has grown 2.6 times in the last 6 years, as implementing guidelines are formulated to further define the opportunities. One thing that's clear is that China is moving ahead with building a vibrant green industry.